Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode today of Bridging the Gap. Today, I'm here with Robin Turner, who is our manager of individual and family sales. And today, we're going to be doing a special episode about what it looks like when you are about to turn 65. If you know anything about me at this point, you know that I'm extremely passionate about the seniors and all things Medicare. But Robin is also very passionate about those clients as well, because typically she's very involved in helping them transition. So she will help them transition from an individual policy or even a short-term medical policy over into Medicare. So today we had this grand and glorious idea to come in and just us two chat about what we do to help our clients. So Robin, if you just want to start us off and tell us like what happens from the beginning, because usually they're your clients before they come over to me.
So what we do is when they start aging in, and that means when you turn 65. So we don't never want to use a derogatory word because that's something to be proud of, to be able to get to Medicare age. What we'll do is about 3 months prior, we'll go ahead and send out like an email just saying, hey, you're aging in. What are your plans? Are you planning on staying with us? If you do, we'd love to keep you, and you can move straight over to Savannah. So usually they already know Savannah because our office is pretty small, and we usually do a pretty good introduction when they come in the office or when we're on the phone with them. So what we'll do is we'll just say, XYZ, this is the process we're going to do. It's really seamless. It's really easy. And people usually get overwhelmed, and there's no reason to. It's super easy.
Absolutely. And so it's what we do like to do is if you come into the office, we try to introduce each other because eventually you may cross paths with us, especially if they're your client.
Right.
So I do try to make it a point if I'm in the middle of something, usually you'll be like, hey, Savannah's in that office. She's on the phone, but you're eventually going to talk to her,
Right.
especially if they're in that 60 to 64 range,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So what I'm excited about today though is we have a client that is actually haven't even told you about yet. So surprise. They're a couple and they live here locally, but what's cool about them is that they're both on the marketplace, right? That one of them's going to come off and the other one's going to stay on. Why don't you tell everyone listening, how often do you think that happens?
I'd say quite a bit. From probably at least half of it. One is old because usually one is older than the other. I mean, that's usually how it goes. My husband's older than me.
Right.
Your husband's older than you. So what'll happen is when they come to Savannah for Medicare, she'll do her kind of assessment with them, see what plan is best for them in the Medicare realm. And then the spouse, whether it be the husband or the wife, will come into me, and then we'll kind of figure out where they need to be in an under 65 policy. And they're both within the office. And then that way they kind of have an idea because the husband's already on it. So when she or he gets ready to move into that Medicare policy, it's very seamless, very quick and easy.
It is. And I want to kind of expand on why it's quick and easy, because we can say that all day long, but okay, so how or why? So I think for me, it's always like, okay, well, let's meet you in my office. We'll come in, we'll go over everything. I usually call you into my office and I'll say, Robin's your agent now. Robin, tell the customers, what you're going to do. And so typically we will have something arranged on the calendar for either you to reach out or they'll reach out to you on how to cancel it. So can you tell everyone like why it's so easy to do that beyond just like them having us as a resource?
Well, usually I would say 99% of our clients we know personally.
Absolutely.
So we know them by name, we know them by face, and it's very easy because they're comfortable with us at that point. And then we already have all their information. So
Right.
all the information's in our CRM. We don't have to worry about going through if it has anything changed. We'll make changes as needed.
Right.
And then the process is they come in and meet with you first, and they kind of go over what they need. And then what they'll do is just, let's say it's the end of this month and somebody's effective June 1st. So on the 31st, I usually always put a calendar reminder to cancel that policy. We'll cancel the policy for the individual side, and then it's just a straight shot. That ends on the 31st, and Medicare begins right on the 1st. So you don't go without a lapse of coverage, which is very helpful as well.
Absolutely.
And then as well, the good thing about it is they already they're already familiar with us.
Right.
And then if they had questions and you weren't available, they would feel comfortable talking to me about it. I might not have the answer, but they at least can talk to me and say, hey, can you find this out as soon as you can? And I can get back with them. So it's not some foreign person on the phone. And I don't mean that derogatory, foreign as in they don't know them.
Right.
But it's super simple. I mean, it just makes it, for me as a consumer, I'd be more comfortable having a transition that seamless,
right,
than having to worry, okay, where do I go? What do I do? I don't,
do I still have to call the carrier? Nope.
Yes. We're A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We go all the way to Z. We'll get it. We take care of the whole package for you, which is really nice.
Absolutely. And there's two things I want to kind of hone in on. One, we have to advocate for ourselves as agents, right? Because we're not very good salespeople.
No.
I think we've both said that in our podcast before. We're actually terrible salespeople, and I don't even like being called like a salesperson because I don't think of myself like a car salesman where I'm out here, and if I don't make a Medicare sale today, I'm not going to make a paycheck.
Right.
So that's what's really cool about what we do every single day is that because that stress is kind of taken away from us, and we're able to just really focus on our clients, and we're able to give them our 100% best effort every single day.
Right.
We're able to go the extra mile. What other agency is going to do the extra steps to say, hey, I'll even reach out to the marketplace for you and make sure it got canceled.
Right.
Not only am I going to submit the request because you can do that, but then I'm going to make sure that my request was submitted, because that does happen sometimes where you'll go and you'll submit a request and then it'll show up, oh, they didn't cancel it.
Right.
So we've learned from this process, and we really have, in my opinion, I'm not just saying it because it's us, we really have almost perfected
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like nothing in life is perfect, and
Right.
nothing in life is 100%, but we are right there because it works so well.
Right.
And then they come in and they're like, you guys feel like a family, because, and we're like, well, we are. We're not only coworkers, but we're really good friends.
Yeah.
And so I thought today was such a cool day to come on and like introduce us as the girls, because I think once you're one of our clients, and if you're our clients listening now, you probably know how close Robin and I are, and you know how closely we work together. We always joke when the clients call, I'm like, I'm literally looking at Robin's face right now. Like, I'm not even sending you to a new office.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her face.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll be like, she's standing here looking at me because she hears me talking about her.
Right.
So I was so excited today. But something I want to kind of circle back to is like, so let's say the husband's turning 65. He comes in to see me. I take care of his Medicare, but the wife's still kind of nervous. We have a few of those clients right now. I wanted to give a statistic. So almost every single one of my clients in 2024 have been your clients.
I know. We were talking about that the other day, which is very nice, because we're actually retaining our clients, and not to brag on us, but that's actually a huge compliment to us.
Is.
I mean, it's a huge compliment for our office for them to want to continue to do business with us. And that just kind of, and again, I'm not like tooting our own horn, but toot toot, I would say it's such an honor to be able to service them the way that we do. And in the return of that, they stay with us until they don't have it anymore.
I mean, till to the end. And if you ever thought about leaving, I actually told my client the other day, I said, so please don't leave me, because I'll take it personal.
I know.
Like when I have clients leave, which thank God I've only had like 3 customers leave me, and they all moved. So, I mean, or they went to like a carrier that we didn't offer or something like that. It does not happen very often. And same for you. But what's so cool about all of this is that we're able to find a solution. And so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on next is, okay, so say you don't want to go on the marketplace, or even say this, say you guys one of you is retiring. Let's paint this picture together. I like to paint pictures. There's a husband and a wife. The wife still works. The husband's older, like we talked about. The husband's going to go on to Medicare. The wife wants to retire when the husband goes on to Medicare. So she's going to go 2 months without coverage, right? Unless she goes on to Cobra.
Right.
So can you talk to us why some people choose not to go to Cobra, but they come to see you? Because I think that's a big question I get. Well, why wouldn't, like, you mean people don't stay on Cobra? Yeah, you have options.
You do have options. So you can stay on Cobra. And what I normally do, I don't try to get in their business, but I always ask them, okay, what are you paying for Cobra right now? Because we could probably match it, or you could come underneath that. And normally it's always less, because we all know Cobra's super expensive.
Right.
The coverage is great. You don't have to worry about having to change and, do all the legwork or the paper trail of the Cobra. But when they come into me and you said 2 months was their gap?
2 months gap.
So what we do is we'll we'll either go on the ACA or we'll go off the ACA, because
Okay.
at that point you qualify for a SEP. SEP
Right.
means special enrollment period, for those who don't know that. And because you qualify for that, you'll go straight into it. There's no documents that you'll need, other than they may ask you what your old carrier was, and we
Okay.
just put that information in, and that should be all the information that we need. We can do it that way, and you would be on it for 2 months, and then as soon as you age in, you would go straight to Medicare. Or we have short-term policies,
Yeah.
and you can do for 1 month. Right now it's up to 3 years, but that law has changed, so that won't
Right.
be set in stone forever. But for this particular person, they would be able to do a 2-month policy, and that doesn't cover a whole lot, but at least it covers you in the interim of being a Medicare client.
Right. And so what's cool about the short-term policies is normally it saves you a little bit of money, right?
Yep.
Especially for those who don't qualify for a subsidy.
Right.
I know that we did an episode, and if you haven't watched it, please go back and listen to Robin's first episode. She talks about why someone would go on the marketplace and what the 4 factors are.
Right.
So if you don't know those 4 factors, please go back and watch that episode. But just so it was a refresher, it's your age, your zip code, your household size, and your projected income for that year. I know enough to get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's all I know about them. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I know a little bit, but Robin is our subject matter expert, but I do know I have to tell people that sometimes
right.
when they're like, hey, I'm going on Medicare. What does
Right.
my husband have to do? Well, there's 4 factors. Let me
Yeah.
just think if I can remember them real quick. But anyways, with that being said, if they don't qualify for a subsidy on those 4 factors, then I'm always like, hey, what about short term? And you're like, okay,
Right.
I quoted them and it's going to come back cheaper.
Yeah.
Why would someone not want to go on short-term medical? Why would they pick the ACA and not the short-term policy, or vice versa? Like, what
Right.
are the pros and cons with doing that? And does it really matter?
So yes, I believe it does matter. In the time that I've been doing the short term is a newer product for us. We've been doing it about a year.
About a
and a half now.
year, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, actually, you're right. Probably a little bit over a year.
A year and a half, something. We've been doing it long enough that we see kind of what people our feedback from our customers.
Absolutely.
So I think for someone that would be a good candidate for a short term was somebody who's healthy, that doesn't go to the doctor often, and just really needs something in the case of an emergency.
Right.
So that would be a good factor for them. Now, if you... Actually, I don't know, I should mention this. They have to pass underwriting as well. So there's 5 questions that they have to ask. And if they answer yes to any of those questions, they're actually automatically disqualified. Those questions are pretty simple, and most anybody will qualify for it, but it's for like surgeries in the past 12 months.
Okay.
Have you had a diagnosis of cancer? Things like that. So those are kind of the major medical side of it, that it wouldn't be a good fit for you.
Okay. And so with the ACA, if they needed that 2 month on the ACA, they would not have to go
They would
through
not have
underwriting.
no
So-
underwriting, no pre-existing conditions, none of that.
So that makes sense, right? Because if someone needs to just a 2 month policy, well, hey, like right now you're battling cancer, unfortunately. Okay, well then we're just gonna have to put you on the marketplace.
right.
They're not gonna do pre-existing conditions, which, by the way, again, I'm kind of an insurance nerd. That changed as the ACA changed,
Right.
right? So like whoever's I've said this again in one of my episodes, whoever is in office changes kind of how these insurance policies go, because it's all government based,
Yeah.
right? The subsidy, who's paying that subsidy? The government,
government
right?
is,
So
yeah.
it's not me being political, it's me educating you guys on why are things changing every single year. Well, one president will do this, and then the next president will do this, and then the next president will do this. In my opinion, overall, the trend is going up.
I was just about to say that.
It's going up,
It
and we
is.
talk about that all the time. So who's running for office overall, it doesn't really matter to us as long as we see that the laws are going to best help our clients.
Right.
And so right now, it's still looking that way. One of the best things that they did for the ACA was take away pre-existing conditions.
Yes,
because now there's only 2 health insurance, I should say, left that still have underwriting: Medicare supplement plans after your guaranteed issue right, and short-term medical plans. Everything else, for the most part, you can get right in. And people ask me that all the time. Well, isn't there, medical
too.
questions? No, actually there's not. Especially for like Medicare Advantage, there's no medical underwriting ever on those. I mean, and if there is, somebody tell me, because I've never found that before. School me. But I mean, I've dug really deep. Medicare supplement's a little bit different. You know, you have this guaranteed issue right when you first turn 65. And that's when I really encourage my clients to really think about it, talk about it, crunch numbers. You know, I say this all the time. It's like I'm like a broken record, but in a good way, you know, because I repeat some good stuff, in my opinion, that has helped so many clients.
Yeah.
And one of those mantras is, I don't want you to be insurance poor.
Right.
You're retiring. Enjoy your retirement. You worked 65
Absolutely.
years,
It's a
give or take,
accomplishment.
right? If you started working at 15, some of these people said they started working at 12 years old.
Yeah.
This was before labor laws. I mean, you know, so like imagine that. I mean, 50 years, 55 years, some of these people have worked.
Yeah.
You should enjoy your retirement without worrying about paying $700 a month
Right.
for a Medicare plan.
Yeah.
And I'm so passionate about that, because that alone could help people really live their life to the fullest.
Right.
Because what is one of the worst things you can do as an aging individual is stress.
Right.
Carry that load, because your body eventually will catch up to you. Your anatomy, your heart, your brain will catch up to you. So now I'm on that tangent, but it's important. It's really important
Right.
to talk about. Same with the short-term medical, right? Why would I pay all this money on the ACA if I don't qualify for a subsidy, if I'm going to pass underwriting and it's for 2 months and I'm in relatively good health?
Right.
It's going to save them some money. And that's
Yeah.
our job. And that's why I said we're not very good salespeople, but we do advocate for ourselves as agents.
Right.
So maybe we're better salespeople than we
We
realize.
think, yeah, that's true.
Maybe we should give ourselves more
Yeah.
credit.
I think why we say we're not good people, just to let the audience know, is because we've said this 100 times and we're being very redundant, but we do not sell a policy to sell a policy.
Right.
It is not money in our pocket. It is whatever the customer needs and we suit them. It's not.
Right.
It's not about us.
Right.
But I want to kind of backtrack to the ACA. You were talking about how it's only trended up. Anything that you do at the beginning always needs work. It always needs
Absolutely.
to be tweaking. So I feel like as the years have gone on, there has been some really major milestones with the ACA, and hopefully it can only get better. So that's all I have to say about that one.
No, it's true though. It's really true. I was listening to a podcast this morning actually. Robin and I and Kim, our owner, who normally hosts the podcast, we were out in Vegas last week, 2 weeks ago now. Gosh, time's
know.
flying. 2 weeks ago, and we learned so much
Yes.
of just like knowledge. Like you know, sometimes you go and you take a lot of notes, and you're like, that was a lot of information. No, we sat there like sponges. We were like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
this is amazing.
It was so good.
And so he had a podcast today. If you're listening, Justin Brock, shout out to you. Thank you for your wonderful advice. But you know, he was talking about like how the ACA has changed. And at the beginning, you know, people were like, I don't want Obamacare.
Yeah.
He's like, but people don't realize like you have to stay present with your time. So that I'm giving you credit, Justin Brock. He said that and it totally resonated with what I wanted to film today.
Right.
Because you have to remain present with the times. And if that's going on the marketplace for 2 months
Yeah.
before you age into Medicare, it's okay. It's not
Yes.
what it used to be. If it's going on a short-term policy, it's not what it used to be. You know,
Right.
things are ever changing. And if we kind of live in this world where how it was, he was referencing 2014. Y'all, that was only 10 years ago.
know.
I mean, but look how much the world has
Changed
changed
since then, yeah.
in 10 years and the insurance industry in the world that we live
Yeah.
in. And he said, my biggest advice that he tells his kids is you need to be living in the present.
Yeah.
And he said, I tell my clients the same thing. And so I want us to kind of start using that,
Yeah.
right? Like we need to start telling our clients, you need to live in the present of where you are now because it's
Absolutely,
not where
yeah.
you were 15 years ago
yeah.
or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I
does
feel
that make
like
sense?
It does. I feel like we've put ourselves in a box and we don't want to go outside the realms of those four walls kind of.
Right.
And I'm speaking for myself as well, and that goes in all aspects of life. I don't care for change a whole lot.
Right.
I'll deal with it, but it's not my favorite thing.
Of course.
And we have clients that don't like change either. They're a creature of habit. And I mean, that's how I am. I could eat the same thing every day for the rest of my life and it doesn't bother me. And there's some people who are completely opposite. So
Right.
we try to accommodate every client as needed because everybody's
Right.
different.
Well, we kind of hold your hand too, right? So this is really scary. Like going into Medicare itself, take your spouse out of it. It's scary because you're kind of like, okay, wait, this is way different than it was when I worked at the hospital.
Right.
Like most of our clients here worked at the hospital, right? Because we live in a small town. there's not a lot of major corporations here. So most of my clients actually were nurses.
Mm-hmm.
They were at hospital administration, or I mean, gosh, truthfully, most of my clients did work in the medical field, which is kind of nice. I have a few pharmacists. It's nice because they can resonate with me on like a different level because of my background. And also like we can have this open-ended conversation like, hey, you know, when your knee hurts and you got to go to the orthopedic, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay a copay. You're going to have to pay this. And like, oh yeah, I did know that. Or I remember that when we have this open dialogue. It doesn't have to, like you said, fit in this box of here's your price, here's your premium, here's your deductible. Like we want to have a conversation with you so we can resonate with you and be present with you and understand like how we can relate to you. Right. And some of our clients, we just really hold their hand throughout the whole process. And even after they'll call us, sometimes you have some clients that call you once a month. Yeah. Just to check in. They're like, hey, everything's still good? Yep, everything's still good. Yeah. And that's fine with us because, you know, there's people out there who need that. And that's what we are here to do. Not every agency can do that. You know, there's pros and cons to being a huge, massive organization. The con is that, you know, you have to hire all these telemarketers and call centers, and we don't have a call center. You call 904 326-3288. Guess who's going to answer? Me, Robin, or Morgan. Yeah. Or sometimes Katie, our marketing director, if she's covering for us. Yeah. Kim won't answer the phone. No. She doesn't take phone calls unless it's important.
We'll give her a message.
We'll give her a message. Yeah, you'll get her message. But she's hard to get in touch with. One of us will answer the phone. And if we don't, that means we're either in a meeting or we're helping a client. Right. So that's what's cool. Yeah, or on the other line. Yeah. Exactly.
We don't look at it and look at you ring and say, no, I'm not going to answer that.
Well, most of the time, the caller ID doesn't even work on my phone. Yeah. So I don't even, I'll be like, hi. And they're like, hey, Savannah. I'm like, I'm so sorry. There's no caller ID.
Can you tell me who this is? Yes.
So, and I'm not trying to get off the subject, but I just wanted to share, like, we are real people. We're real human beings. We have jokes. We have, you know, friends. We have families. My baby comes to work with me. All of you guys probably know that by now. Yeah. Cooper comes to work with me sometimes. Well, most of the time. And all the time. Yeah, all the time. He's not here today, actually. But you guys get to meet my baby. Yeah. And like some of my clients the other day, they were like, this is so refreshing. And here I am embarrassed because my baby's out there yapping away, and my clients are like, no, this is refreshing because you're real, you're human beings. And so I just kind of wanted to convey this message today, like, you know, just because you're aging in and your spouse isn't, you're not hopeless. It's not scary. Right. Like Robin's here to help you if you're not 65 yet. I'm here to help you if you are. And I think we actually have some clients coming in soon where we're going to tag team them in like the same meeting. And we've done that a few times.
I was gonna say we've done that before. Yeah. So it's pretty easy for us. I will say, just to kind of reiterate what we were talking about the process. So if you are my client or you become my client 3 months prior to your 65th birthday, we'll reach out to you. So in Medicare, you have 3 months prior, the month of, and 3 months after. Right. We really try to get you before because we want you to be effective the day, like the first day of the month. Like if my birthday's May 27th, if I was aging in, I can be effective May 1st. Correct. So the quicker we get a hold of you, so that's why we do it 3 months prior, the easier process it is for the client. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that again to let you know it is really a smooth transition. So if you need us, you know, we're here. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help get you right over to Savannah, and Savannah will take great care of you. I always say that. She'll do better than I do.
And Robin will do better than I do with the short term and the other spouse, the other significant other who needs help, because again, like we kind of tag team a lot of what we do, and most people didn't know that. And so when I told Kim, I was like, hey, here's kind of what I'm thinking I want to talk about today. She was like, yes. Yeah. Immediately she's like, yes, you guys need to share like why you guys are a resource to these people who are scared. They're already nervous. They're like, wait, now my husband and I are going to have two different insurance. That's hard to keep up with. Yeah. Right. So like sometimes we'll be like, hey, if it's easier, if you guys both want to go on with this carrier, at least you both know you have this carrier. Yes. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm not going to name drop any, but we have flexibility on like how we can make this as seamless as possible. Right. I'm fully confident in us. I'm fully confident in what we can offer. And if we don't know the answer, I think we say this every episode, but we will find it. Right. We're never going to leave you at, I'm sorry, I have no idea. Yeah. I can honest to God say I've never said that to a client.
I've never said that to a client either. And if I don't know, I don't try to answer and pretend I know, because I need to figure it out. And I always tell people this is a learning process for me too. So now I can take it on to someone else who asked me. So it's actually good sometimes at some point. I mean, obviously we don't want to not know
Everything,
time,
yeah.
right? But it is nice to figure out things as we go to. I mean,
Right.
again, this is something that's evolving. It changes. We need, we need to learn as we go as well.
Absolutely.
So
And you've sat on the phone with the marketplace for 2 hours. I've sat on the phone with Medicare.gov or Social Security for well over 2 hours. We do that. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's not ideal for anybody.
Right.
And so, I mean, some of my clients, bless their hearts, they can't even read or write at this point. Who is going to advocate for them if we can't?
my mom always said, you are your best advocate.
Absolutely.
So,
And they teach you that in medical school, and your mom's a nurse practitioner. When I was getting my master's degree in athletic training, they told us that. They're like, you always tell your patients, always tell your athletes, the biggest advocate for their health is themselves.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you can tell them all day long what to do, but they're going to go home and either do it or not do it.
Right.
So I tell my clients the same thing. I could tell you all day long, hey, this is what's going to fit your needs the best. And here's why. It has all your doctors in network. It has the best price for you, blah, 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 blah. But if you go a different route, then I gave you the tools that you needed and you made the decision to go somewhere else, and that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But you have to advocate for yourself,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I could talk about that all day long, but
Yeah.
thank you so much. I think
you're
this was so
welcome.
much fun.
This was fun.
It was so much fun. Kim's going to be sad she missed out. But join us next time on our next episode of Bridging the Gap, where Kimberly will be back in the studio interviewing myself as we talk more about Medicare and all things Medicare, because coming soon are the 2025 rates. Also, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2025 was put into place. It's been approved. A lot of the Medicare conference topics surrounded that. So I'm going to probably talk more about how that's going to affect my clients and what to prepare for. So join us next time on Bridging the Gap. If you have any further questions, please call our office at 904-326-3288.